Welcome to iHacks. Today I will be comparing the Google Nexus 4 with the Samsung Galaxy S3. Both of these are top Android phones, and many of you will be wondering which one to get, so hopefully that can be clarified for you in this short comparison. Okay, so firstly let's start off with the general features of the phone. Operating system on both is Android, however the Google Nexus 4 has Android 4.2, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S3 only has Android 4.1.1. In some countries it has 4.1.2, but that update is still rolling out. Future updates will also be quicker on the Google Nexus 4, as the OS updates are direct from Google, whereas Samsung have to modify the Android version so that it suits their phones. So the operating system is definitely a big advantage on the Nexus 4. The dimensions of both, well, the Nexus 4 is slightly longer and is slightly narrower. However, the S3 is slimmer. So body volume on the S3 is overall less after viewing some calculations. Personally, it's not. I don't feel it makes too much of a difference, but if you're fussed, then read those over. The weight on both is pretty similar, however the S3 is just slightly lighter, 6 grams lighter to be precise, at 133 grams compared to the Nexus 4's 139 grams. On the Google Nexus 4, the back, home and menu buttons are all on the screen. They aren't separate touch sensitive or actual buttons, whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S3, there are two touch sensitive buttons, which are the menu and the back buttons, and the home button is a solid button. This means less space on the screen is wasted, so this could be an advantage for the S3. Onto the screen information, and the Google Nexus 4 and Samsung Galaxy S3 have very similar screen sizes, but the S3 is just slightly bigger at 4.8 inches compared to the Nexus 4's 4.7 inches. The resolution is again pretty similar, but in this case the Nexus 4 slightly edges it at 768 by 1280 pixels compared to the S3's 720p display of 720 pixels by 1280 pixels. This therefore results in a greater PPI for the Google Nexus 4. It has a 318 pixels per inch, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S3 has 306 pixels per inch, which isn't that noticeable, but it could be noticeable for many of you out there. The screen type is different on both of them. On the Google Nexus 4 you have an IPS LCD display, and on the Samsung Galaxy S3 you have a Super AMOLED display. Both screens have Gorilla Glass 2 to protect the screen from receiving any possible scratches. I know personally my last two phones have had Gorilla Glass 2. Neither of them have got a single scratch on the screen, so it is a very good scratch resistant screen on both of them. The talk time in terms of 3G on the Nexus 4 is 15 hours compared to the talk time 3G on the Samsung Galaxy S3 of 12 hours. This means the Google Nexus 4 has a greater talk time in 3G mode. However, in standby time, the Samsung Galaxy S3 thrashes the Google Nexus 4 with 31.2 days for the S3 compared to only 16.3 days for the Nexus 4. They're both great, but the S3 obviously is a lot better than the Nexus 4. The capacity of the batteries are both the same. They're both 2100 mAh batteries. However, the Google Nexus 4 is lithium polymer battery compared to the lithium ion battery on the Samsung Galaxy S3. Now this doesn't really make too much of a difference, so I wouldn't be too bothered by that myself. However, on the Google Nexus 4 there's a fixed battery compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3 that has a removable battery. The removable battery is potentially a big upside to the S3, as it means that if the battery is faulty you can replace it yourself, or even better is that you're able to carry around a spare battery with you and easily switch batteries if your current battery runs out. So advantage S3 on the battery in my opinion. Now in terms of processors, the processing chip on the Google Nexus 4 is a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S3 has a Samsung Exynos 4. The Google Nexus 4 has a quad-core 1.5 GHz processor, whereas the Samsung Galaxy S3 has a quad-core 1.4 GHz processor. So the Google Nexus 4 is a slightly faster processor. It's also a better architecture, the Google Nexus 4. The semiconductor size is 28 nanometers compared to the 32 nanometer architecture size, semiconductor size on the Samsung Galaxy S3. This also means it's a faster processor, so as you look in benchmark tests and everything, the Google Nexus 4 will almost always beat the Samsung Galaxy S3. Again, the Google Nexus 4 is beating the Samsung Galaxy S3 in terms of processing power, and now it has 2 gigs of RAM compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3's 1 gigs of RAM, so big upside, because I know the S3's RAM is particularly bad, it gets full very quick, so that's a good point on the Nexus 4. Now, here's the downside to the Nexus 4. You can only get 8GB or 16GB internal storage, and no storage expansion is actually available. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S3 you can get a 16GB, 32GB or 64GB storage version, and it can support microSD card up to 64GB, giving you a potential max of 128GB. So when you compare the two, the S3 is definitely better in terms of storage. However, in terms of processing power and RAM, the Google Nexus 4 is definitely superior. In terms of camera quality, both the 8 megapixel cameras, both have an LED flash, both record in 1080p Full HD at 30 frames per second, whereas the S3 has a slightly better front-facing camera at 1.9 megapixels compared to the front-facing camera of 1.3 megapixels on the Google Nexus 4. Now, personally, I don't think these stats mean a lot in terms of cameras because software can affect it and the lens aperture size, things like that. So after looking at a few comparisons of them both, I'm inclined to say that the S3 has a better camera quality. I've taken photos with my mate's Nexus 4 and my current S3, and upon comparing them, the S3 definitely has a better camera. I think it's more down to software than anything else. So the S3 edges it in terms of camera, definitely, in my opinion. Now, in terms of connectivity, both have Bluetooth 4. Both obviously have Wi-Fi, but the S3 has a wider range of connectivity. It can go on Wi-Fi A, B, G, N, and N5 GHz, whereas the Google Nexus 4 can only go on BGN. This won't make a difference to most people in the world, but if it makes a difference to you, here it is. Now, both have mobile hotspot capabilities, both have Wi-Fi Direct, both have USB 2.0 via micro USB, both have a 3.5mm audio jack, both have NFC. However, the NFC on the Samsung Galaxy S3 is better thanks to S-Beam, which allows larger file transfers. Both have DLNA, both have over-the-air updates, so you can easily update your phone without having to use a computer, and both charge via a micro USB cable. Although you can charge either using a wireless charging mat if you were to buy a set. Now, here's the big point from both. What's the pricing like? Now, the Google Nexus 4 is a bargain. At £239 for the 8GB model or £279 for a 16GB model, it's no wonder they sell out so quickly on Google Play. However, the S3 obviously is £100 more expensive, so $379 for the 16GB model and a massive $449 for the 32GB model. And 64GB model ranges massively depending on where you get it from, so it can be extremely expensive. However, the S3 definitely pips the Google Nexus 4 because it's widely available. That's what makes it so popular. It's available in most shops, and you can find special offers on them a lot of the time. Whereas the Nexus 4 isn't really very widely available. It's only really available for the prices above on the Google Play Store. If you get it from anywhere else, it's about £400. And it's almost out of stock, almost always out of stock on the Google Play Store, so very hard to get hold of. I personally tried to get hold of a Google Nexus 4 myself. In the end, just couldn't wait for it to come into stock and bought myself a Galaxy S3. So, personally for me, I personally prefer the S3 because of its TouchWiz UI. However, the Nexus 4 has many good upsides to it over the S3, such as the bigger piece of RAM capacity or the faster processor, and definitely the price. It's an absolute steal for the price. So it's up to you which one you buy. Do comment, let me know which one you like best, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe for more videos from iHacks. Thank you.